Welcome back to the Manc Entrepreneur YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about why failing is not always a bad thing. So chances are, if you are an entrepreneur, if you've started your own business or in the process of doing so, you were at a point where you weren't running your own business, you were an employee or a student, and you had to make that decision of whether you were going to give it a go or not. Am I going to try and build my own business, go self-employed and create whatever it is that I want to create? And at that point, I'm 99% sure you had that thought in your head which said, but what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? And that's a perfectly rational thing to think at that time. I did it, I know for sure. In fact, I probably put off going self-employed for about 6 months. And in that 6 months, I went to another business and I wanted further proof that I knew what I was doing, and I had to have the confidence that I understood the industry that I work in. And I went and got a little bit more experience and proved that I knew my stuff. And it was after those 6 months which I went, yeah, I'm ready, I can do this. But always in the back of my mind was, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I can't do this? And ultimately it came to the point where I had to sit myself down and say, what is the worst thing that can happen? You know, when you are young, and I think, to put this in perspective, I was, 23 or 24 when I went self-employed and started my entrepreneurial journey. And that is I'm taking nothing away. That was the best time for me to do that. I had no kids, I had no mortgage, my outgoings were low. I had, so I could afford to take risks. I had nothing really to lose. My parents were there, and they were willing to back me and sort of say, if it goes wrong, you can live with us, don't have to pay rent. I had very, very supportive parents, which I'm so grateful for, and they really did put me in a great position to go forward. But like I said, what's the worst that can happen? Ultimately, no one was going to take me around the back of a building and shoot me. It just isn't going to happen. But in life, it's important to fail, and there's perfectionists out there, and I know so many of them who strive and strive and strive for perfection, and I feel sorry for them. And I used to be a little bit like that myself, but ultimately you're setting yourself up for disappointment if you're a perfectionist, because very, very seldomly do things turn out perfect, and along the way there will be failures. The first business I set up, I tried to set up a business. Well, no, the first business I set up, I was a Pokemon card dealer in school, and I didn't used to collect them, but I used to buy and sell them. I used to buy and sell Pokemon cards, and with the profit that I'd make, I could buy things that I wanted, what any sort of 12 or 13-year-old would want. And that was a great business. I'd love to be selling Pokemon cards again. And like I said, for someone who wasn't overly that into Pokemon and wasn't collecting them, I didn't have a book or the trading cards or anything like that. I literally just knew enough about it to know when I could buy cards for cheap and who would be willing to pay for said card. I was basically a middleman for Pokemon cards. Great business, worked really well. That probably set me up for a life of entrepreneurship. Who knew? But yeah, the first proper business that I tried to set up didn't go out too well. We had a couple of clients, and I just didn't understand fully what would be required in order to take a business like this, but to scale. Basically, it was very labor intensive, and like I said, it didn't last long at all. It didn't last over 6 months, I would say. And it had a great name, and it had a great idea behind it, but ultimately the execution was poor. And I basically tried to start a business far too soon. and I didn't understand all the nuances, and I didn't understand the area of what I was trying to do well enough. And it was, I mean, I'm to blame 100% for that failure, and I learnt a lot from it, and that's the key. From that first time of starting a business, I sort of knew that was how not to do it. But I needed to do that in order to then understand how to do it. And the things that worked well, I understood. And I went, yeah, I can do that. Now, why did the first business fail? Or why did it not take off properly? And I could look back and go, well, mate, I didn't do this. I certainly didn't do this properly. And I learned. And that is the key. Sometimes you need to try these things. If you don't try, you'll never know. And for me, I think that is the worst thing that I could ever think looking back. If I had not agreed to go ahead with the business that I now run, now knowing what it's achieved and what a difference that we've made to a lot of people, a lot of businesses, and the contacts that we've met with fantastic, large scale businesses. If I hadn't have taken that opportunity when it came and said yes, but in the future, if I could have looked back and looked at what it had been, I would have been so gutted. I would have been distraught that I didn't trust myself to take that risk. I didn't back myself. And I think that's always the worst thing that I can think of, is with business, if it's not trying, it's not taking the opportunity, it's the being scared to fail. If you let that get in your way, you don't know what you could be missing out on. And that's why I'm saying to you now, it's good to fail. If you fail at something, it means you're trying. And if you're trying, it means you're doing more than the other 95% of people who just get comfortable and just accept things for what they are, and they go to work 9 to 5, and that's fine, that's for them. But if it's not for you, don't get sucked into that trap. Be prepared to fail well, but importantly learn from your failures, and over time, I promise you, those lessons that you learn will lead to success. It's a game of trial and error, and it all starts with trying. If you're not trying, then you'll never know what works and what doesn't. Don't be afraid to fail, ultimately. Throw things at the wall, see what sticks, optimize them, ignore the things that don't work, and keep on moving forward. But for the love of God, don't not try because you're scared of failing. It's not worth the regret looking back, I promise you. Just go out there, do it, don't be scared to fail, and trust me, it will probably go better than you would ever have thought. With that said, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope there's something inside you now which is like, yeah, he's right, let's go and do this. If you now feel like you're ready to take on the world, please leave me a like rating and subscribe if you are new. And with that said, I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.